Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on March 1st, 2023. I am Dave Biddle, very happy joined by Matt Baxendell for his usual Wednesday visit. Like I said, March 1st, man, it's going to be record temperatures in Columbus today. We're going to hit the 70s. I feel like, knock on wood, I know we're not out of the woods yet, but it feels like we skipped winter here in the capital city of Ohio. Basically, when it turns to March, I feel like it's spring anyway. I mean, I think I shoveled my driveway like twice all winter. I'm here for it, man. We basically skipped winter backs.
You know, you're just damning us to like a week-long snowstorm at the end of March. That's all you're doing.
I've looked ahead, man. The extended forecast looks good. We probably will have one more snowstorm, but I'll take it at this point. It's like my kids are like, we only had one snow day. That's not even fair. And it wasn't even really a snow day. It was more like an ice day. All right.
Yeah, cold day.
Exactly. All right. So the rumors have kicked up again about Big Ten expansion. There's talk, okay, some people think it's inevitable. There's been talk that, Oregon and Washington could join. There's been some buzz about maybe some other schools. What do you think will happen? What do you think should happen?
Well, what should happen is if the words Notre and Dame are not at the top of the list, I don't want to hear about it. That's what should happen. All right, any Big Ten expansion that doesn't involve the Irish, to me at this point, is pointless. We just added the two best teams out west. The only teams on the western side of the Rocky Mountains that really move the pulse outside of Oregon. And Oregon is a Johnny-come-lately Nike product program. It's not like it's some historical blue blood. They were terrible until the mid-90s. So let's be real here. At the end of the day, I don't want any expansion that doesn't involve Notre Dame. And now what will happen, I don't know. It's going to be in the mind of whoever the new Big Ten commissioner is, because for all of Kevin Warren's flaws and trying to cancel the season and the fact that none of us are going to miss him that he's gone, USC and UCLA was a really good move, and I'm super happy that happened. But this is like, going out and stealing the Mona Lisa and then stopping for postcards on the way out the door. Like, I don't really get why you would go and pick up Washington and Oregon. It doesn't add any value to our television deal, right? Like, who in TV is going, oh, man, they got USC and UCLA and Michigan and Ohio State and Penn State and Nebraska. You know what they need to get? Washington. Like, no one's saying that right now. Any game that's on at 10 p.m., that's UCLA or USC versus the Big Ten team, because we'll always have a late game now, is going to be a big deal to be the biggest game in the late-night TV slot. So to me, there's no point in expanding, unless there's some sort of revenue stream I'm not aware of. We don't need the big national division. I don't need the old Pac-10 as the Big Ten West at this point. So unless you're talking to me about Notre Dame, I don't want to do anything to do with it.
It just doesn't seem like, if it's about money, like what does Washington and Oregon really add as far as that's just two more, pieces of pie you got to split up. Now, I don't think that it would be terrible additions. And maybe you could argue you don't want to leave USC and UCLA completely on an island, but like they're making a lot more money. It was their choice. I mean, I don't know.
They're on an island together, Dave, and they're the second biggest media market in the United States together. They'll be fine. And every single week, one of them's going to have a home game out in LA, right? This isn't a big deal for them, right? And the other kicker, by the way, is we're not just talking about football here. I think at this point we're looking at the Big Ten just from a football perspective, right? Well, if Washington and Oregon join, we got to send our baseball team out there. We got to send our field hockey team or whatever out there, right? And that comes a little prohibitive. It's easy to fly direct to LA. How do you get kids to Eugene, Oregon easily, right? Like, I don't think that it makes fiscal sense on any level. It certainly doesn't make fandom sense on any level. I think the Ohio State is not going to benefit from it at this point. The real point to me is quite simple. You have the LA market. There's nothing else you need out there. Just stick with that. And unless Notre Dame wants to come, and even if Notre Dame wants to come, can we talk about throwing Rutgers out and adding them? Because I don't want to go past 16. Once you get past 16, you're barely a conference. So I'm not really in for any more Big Ten expansion at this point. I don't see the benefit to it.
Really quick before we move on, I want to talk who's going to be Ohio State's center, and we're going to talk starting safeties for the Buckeyes this year. Very long question comment from Michael on Facebook. Basically, he's a Kyle McCord fan. He thinks Michael on Facebook thinks Kyle McCord is going to be one of the Heisman contenders this year. I tell you what, he couldn't have a better a group of receivers to throw to. I mean, tell you what, if they can stay healthy. Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, Julian Fleming. They got Xavier Johnson back. Maybe Jaden Ballard can get in the mix. Maybe some of these freshmen. You got Cade Stover coming back after having the best season by an Ohio State tight end in many, many years. So Michael on Facebook's a big Kyle McCord fan. Backs. It's going to be a fun competition with Devin Brown, but I do think Kyle McCord's going to win the battle. But I like both of them.
Yeah, I was going to say whoever wins the Ohio State quarterback job is going to be a Heisman candidate all the way. I'm just not sure who is who yet. So, good for McCord. I mean, he's already getting the spam stories that he's dating Paige Spiranak on the internet. So the guy's clearly moving up in the national lexicon.
I thought it was Margot Robbie. No, I'm kidding.
No, every week Kyle McCord's got a new celebrity that he's dating.
A new celebrity girlfriend.
Yeah, he's like the Leonardo DiCaprio of college football, apparently. But even though none of the stories I believe are true, good for him. He's entering the right world.
His girlfriends are probably the same age as Leo's girlfriends.
That's true. They are dating from the
Leo likes his college age girls just like Kyle does.
Yeah, right. Oh man, what's that old that line? The best part about 18-year-olds is they never get younger, right?
That's Matthew McConaughey from Dazed and Confused. You know what I love about them high school girls? I keep getting older. They stay the same age.
Yeah, that's Leo DiCaprio.
His breakout performance. Matthew McConaughey playing himself in Dazed and Confused, basically.
All right.
Love them redheads.
We're off the rails. Oh boy.
I think if we just did like Matthew McConaughey's, voice from Dazed and Confused, that might be the best show we've ever done. Yeah, right. We're having a keg party. You should come and ditch the geeks and get in the car with me. Go ahead.
Oh man. Anyways, so quarterback at Ohio State. Whoever wins the battle certainly should be a Heisman candidate. I agree with that general presumption. The problem that you're going to have at a place like Ohio State, though, is at this point is that I see it as the fact that you're going to have some vote split because people are going to vote for Harrison if he has the year that we hope he does. You got the running backs that are going to make a big deal. I mean, you got so many candidates that it's going to be hard for Ohio State, even if they have a fantastic season. I don't know. But then again, who wins the Heisman every year? Usually one of the quarterbacks on one of the best teams. So that's by default, McCord or Devin Brown's going to be right there.
Larry on YouTube wants us to get back to football, and we're going to listen to our viewers.
All right.
Now, maybe after the show, after I get it posted and everything, because after the live version, I then have to I turn it into a podcast. It's magic. I'm telling you, man, it's magic around here. After I do that, it's been a while since I've seen Dazed and Confused. I might have to watch it. But Larry, let's talk some football. All right. Who's going to be the starting center for Ohio State? I did not think Luke Wypler was going to leave early. I've mentioned this on the show, but he is. And sounds like he's going to be no worse than a third-round pick, so good for Luke. We're going to be rooting for him. I selfishly wish he was coming back, but okay, he played great against Georgia, against a great D-line. Who's going to be the Buckeye starting center? Last year, the backup technically was Jacob James. I think if something happened, they probably would have moved Matt Jones inside and brought maybe Josh Fryer in at guard. But Jacob James is missing spring. He's entering his fourth year. Kid out of Cincinnati Elder. Then you've got Carson Hinsman, a redshirt freshman. I like him. Kid out of Wisconsin. I'm kind of hoping he can seize the job almost like Wypler did as a redshirt freshman. That'd be kind of like, I think that'd be good news. Matt Jones, there was a lot of talk he could move inside. They said no, he's going to stay at right guard. Donovan Jackson left guard. At least they know their guards are back. And then the other one in the mix, obviously, is Vic Cutler, the transfer they got from Louisiana Monroe. Sounds like probably a Hinsman Cutler battle to me. Maybe Jacob James can get into it in fall. Who do you think is going to be the starting center when they run out there against Indiana in the opener?
Much like you, I hope it's Hinsman. Anytime you steal a Wisconsin elite line prospect from the state of Wisconsin, you generally assume the guy's going to be pretty good. So Hinsman's the guy I think we all want to win the job. I think at this point we have to essentially assume that that's the guy that Ohio State wants to win it as well. Do you want the guy with the 1 year of eligibility that you brought in from ULM, or do you want to have the freshman redshirted kid that could start?
He does have two.
Oh, he
Cutler does have 2 years, but still, yeah.
So the point holds. The other thing with Cutler is, I want to throw this out there, guys. He can play a lot of positions on the line. To me, he's like your super sub in a perfect setting. In a perfect scenario, you find 2 tackles that can start that aren't Cutler. You have Hintzman take the center spot, and then Cutler can fill in across the board. I mean, he played tackle at ULA.
Right. Yeah.
You can always slide on a guard if somebody gets hurt, and if you think you need a guard, you can have him as your backup center. I think we want Hintzman to win it, and I think Cutler as our jack of all trades sub is a really good ideal way to come into it. I don't think Jacob James gets in the mix. I actually wrote about this in the bucket last week, Dave, where if you look at some of the Ohio prospects we brought in the last bit of time, there's a lot of offensive linemen that just haven't made an impact. And I don't think anybody comes out of spring without – I think the center position is going to be essentially decided by the end of spring in the coach's mind. So if James can work his way into the 2 deep, great. But like you said, I didn't think he was actually next in line last year. I think it was going to be a shuffling versus a put Jacob James on the field in serious situations unless we had too many injuries. So to me, this is a please Carson Hintzman win the job, and if you can't, Cutler's the safety net.
Now all the commenters say, can you guys go back to talking about Dazed and Confused and doing Matthew McConaughey impersonations? No, nobody actually said that. Okay. So, yeah, I'm with you. All right, let's move on to safety. This is interesting, man. It's a safety-driven defense, and boy, do they got some good ones. And they've got a lot of depth, and they got some things to figure out. So 3 guys can start. I've got 4 guys that I think are starting material. You got Jihad Carter, the transfer from Syracuse. Sonny Styles, to me, has to start. Lathan Ransom, I know struggled, but also he played well at times too. And I know they like him. So he's starting material. And I think Kai Stokes is starting material. Now, only 3 of those guys are going to start. They also have other guys. I mean, if Court Williams is healthy, we always forget about Court Williams. I mean, he was a captain last year. Yeah. And they all love him. They say he's like the hardest worker on the team, but I'm getting some Cam Babb vibes. Like, is he ever going to be healthy enough to play? Everybody loved Cam Babb. Everybody loves Court Williams. He's never going to be healthy enough to play. Josh Proctor's coming back for like a 19th year, I think. There's other guys in the mix as well. Cam Martinez. But the 4 guys I mentioned, I think, are really going to battle for those 3 starting spots. Who do you think, when it all shakes out, who's going to be the starters and at what spots?
By the way, Josh Proctor is like the Aaron Kraft of Ohio State football. You keep looking at the roster, like, wow, he's still here, right? It's been a while.
Except Kraft helped Ohio State win games.
Yeah, that's true.
Was that a low blow?
That was a little.
I don't like an Aaron Kraft Josh Proctor comparison because Aaron Kraft was pretty Josh good. Proctor. Okay, I'll shut up now.
Anyways,
just in case his mom's listening or something.
Yeah, right. Oh no, you're gonna get in trouble now, Dave.
Sorry, Mrs. Proctor. I'm sorry, Miss Proctor. I am for real. Yeah. We are really going off the rails today. Now we're doing Outcast. Okay, go ahead.
Neither of us can sing either, so that's bad.
I can sing.
Oh, then we're gonna have to have the Bucknuts Musical 5 at some point, Dave. We'll sing it as like a old-fashioned timey song. Anyways, so back to football, Larry. I think at this point you hit the nail on the head with Jihad Carter and Sonny Styles. They have to be on the field, those 2 to me. Carter's not coming here to sit. He was one of the best safeties in the ACC. He's the ball hawk. He's playing. Sonny Styles, you have to play him. All right, anybody who saw him at all through bowl practice and against Georgia, he's more than ready. And remember, this is supposed to be his true freshman season.
I know, it's crazy. He should still be in high school right now.
He's the football recruit that elevated himself up a year. You don't see that in football. Like John David Booty was the only other person I could think of off the top of my head that did that. And it was such a bad idea. No one else did it. So reclassifying up like Styles did to get to Ohio State, to get into strength and conditioning a year early, is paying off. So Sonny Styles at this point has to start, period. All right? Carter and Styles are starting. The question to me is, can Stokes prove he's a better option than Ransom? And Ransom's going to be one of the next guys on the field. Ransom wasn't bad. He had a decent year. Like, I'm not saying he's an issue. I just saw a lot out of Kai Stokes that I really liked last year in the spring. Heard nothing but good stuff about him. He's one of those kids where you kind of think he's got to work his way onto the field. So, to me, I want it to be Stokes, much like I want center to be Carson Hintzman. But we're going to have to see if he can take the job from Ransom. That's kind of where my head is.
Yep, I'm with you. And I like that they have depth there. I mean, let's say Carter and Styles, and let's just say Stokes or Ransom, whichever of the last two are the starters. I mean, what are the chances all three of them are going to stay healthy the entire season? So having basically four starters for the three spots is an excellent position to be in. Just because, just like you mentioned, Vic Cutler is that sixth man on the offensive line. What's the chance of all five, if he's the sixth man, if he's not a starter, what are the chances all five starters are going to stay healthy the entire season? Not very likely. So it's great to have basically six starters on the offensive line, four starters for the three safety spots.
And you have a whole set of second backups that have been on the field, or at least are highly thought of. I mean, Proctor, for whatever we can joke about, still has played a lot, right?
A lot. Yep.
Like, that's not the worst option to have as a backup, right? And I'm assuming he's coming into the season eyes wide open about where he's at, considering he chose to come back, right? So you have Proctor, let's say Stokes wins. You have Proctor, Ransom, and Williams as your backup. Okay, that's pretty darn good.
Pretty good.
For a position that's pretty important for this defense, that's a good thing. I'm on board with that. So, we're talking about where safety was last year and some of the concerns we may or may not have had about it. Hopefully they're a step better this year.
I still can't believe Ronnie Hickman left early. I haven't seen him projected very high, but I wish him well. I think they're going to be just fine at safety, and then some. All right. Last thing I want to get into this. So for those that haven't heard, it sounds like we're going to have shorter games in college football.
What?
Shorter games. Now, this isn't official, but I think it's going to be official. There has been a proposal for three main rule changes. Really, one that's a really going to be a big factor. They want to shorten games. They want less plays. They're saying it's for player safety. Okay, whatever. Okay, now the first one is basically like the NFL. After first downs, the clock would keep running. They wouldn't stop the clock after first downs, except in the last 2 minutes of each half. That's the difference of the NFL. So that's been like a college football staple. That's been one thing that set it apart from the NFL is after first downs, you stop the clock until the ball is, of course, until the ball is placed. They're going to do away with that most likely. Again, except for the final 2 minutes of each half anyway. And then I've always thought this was kind of dumb anyway. I'm kind of glad they're doing this. So now if a penalty happened over to the second quarter or fourth quarter, instead of having that except the final 2 minutes of each half. Bax, your thoughts, my friend?
Why does everything have to be exactly like the NFL? There's a reason we watch college football over the NFL, right? I kind of like the quirkiness of it. And that first down stopping after the clock, it's like sometimes it's only like 2-3 seconds. What are we trying to save here? Right? Like, I don't know. To me, this is, remember back like 15 years ago where they had that rule that they instituted where on a change of possession, when the referee started the play clock, they started the game clock too. And so you would have it like a change of possession, teams calling timeout, trying to get the ball back and everything. I think it was 2006 was the year they did that. And it was so stupid that they got rid of the rule after 1 year. Stopping the clock after the first down is kind of a staple of college football. I'm glad they're keeping it in the last 2 minutes, right? Because that's always one of these talks about college football. Is like, you'll always have time. 50 seconds, you'll always have time, right? So at least they're keeping it then. I'd be losing my mind if they were trying not to have it in the last 2 minutes. But why are we changing it at this point? I just don't see it. Like, let college football be college football, right? Like, we can watch NFL football if we want to watch NFL football. I want to watch college football. To me, and even the untimed downs, I like that. This is like I like 4 and 5 overtime games. I don't see the point in these. To me, this is needless tweaking to the game.
I agree with Rick on Facebook here. He says targeting calls need to be.
Why are we worried about this? There's no targeting fixes. It's like, oh my God.
Oh, well, it's about player safety, but let's not worry about the targeting situation and all that. Let's just have completely shady replay officials like hidden away in some bunker in Area 51, making shady calls and overturning things on the field. That's one thing I love about the XFL. The XFL has complete transparency. Like if you watch, I'm not really into the XFL, but like one thing I love is when they do replays, you hear everything. You hear the replay official talking, you hear the on-field officials talking. There needs to be complete transparency with replay officials, and they've got to get that figured out. But they're worried about things
in college football. That has to happen.
It has to
absolutely happen in college football because you know what? As pissed off as we are as Ohio State fans now, of 2 of our last 3 playoff appearances ending thanks to shady replay officials overturning calls that were correct on the field multiple times in each game. I want that call. All right. Then why are we not getting that? Because in my head, here's how the call goes. Hey man, can't have the Buckeyes play at LSU. They're better than Clemson. We need to overturn that dare fumble. But it's the right call. I don't care, man. Commissioner said do it. That's how it's going in my head, right? That's what I as a fan see, right? That needs to happen. And don't tell me technical issues. You can put them on Zoom, right? It's easy. So that and targeting not having a 5-yard and a 15-yard variety to me are the 2 biggest things you need to fix in college football. Why are we worrying about an untimed down at the end of the first quarter? That's the biggest issue we got to fix, is targeting and the replay system not being transparent.
But we can't have coaches calling back-to-back timeouts. That's the thing. We got to get that legislated, and then we can worry about all the other things that we actually care about.
Idiot.
My goodness gracious. Why don't they just have us run college football? I've offered my services.
We've been saying they don't listen, okay? I would be the commissioner and the Big Ten would kick ass, okay? But they don't want to let me do anything fun.
I guess you're going to have to be an engineer for your full-time job, and then like a podcaster and a columnist on the side, I guess.
I would still do those as commissioner of the Big Ten, okay? All right? Just to be a little more newsworthy when you have me on Wednesday morning.
Love it. Great stuff from Matt Baxendell. All right, get to your real job. Or is this, or do you consider the engineering gig your side hustle and this is your real job? No, I'm kidding.
Oh, we know where my heart is.
Great stuff from Bax. You can read his column every Sunday. It is The Bucket. Thank you to Matt Baxendell. Thanks to all of you for tuning into the show. We appreciate it very much. Hope everyone has